Мы поддерживаем Иран
We support Iran's legal interests,
в борьбе за его законные интересы, в том числе за
including its
борьбе
right
за
to
его
peaceful
интерес к
nuclear
ядерному
energy.
атому. И мы всегда занимали эту позицию.
This position has not
Принципиально
changed
эта позиция
and will not
в
change.
данном случае и в этом конфликте не поменялась. Кто говорит, что мы должны были бы сделать
Those who
больше,
say we should have done more on Iran, what do they mean?
начинать какие-то боевые операции, так что
Launch military
у нас и так
operations?
идут боевые операции с теми, с которыми мы
We're already engaged in combat with those who threaten the Russian Federation and the very ideas we defend.
и тех, кто создает угрозы для Российской
These
Федерации.
are, in essence, the same forces in Iran and in Russia, operating from the rear.
Что в Иране, что в российском случае, там где-то подальше, в тылу, за спиной.
Vladimir Putin responded to claims that Russia has failed its allies, particularly Iran. Speaking at the St. Petersburg Economic Forum, Putin outlined Moscow's strategy in the Middle East, from nuclear cooperation and regional balance to indirect military confrontation. What follows is a breakdown of his statement and what it really reveals.
Те, кто
Those who spread narratives about Russia being an unreliable ally are provocateurs. They're trying to provoke a reaction,
они провоцируют ситуацию,
but it won't help them. They won't achieve their goals.
не добьются своих целей.
In Putin's view, the claim that Russia abandoned Iran is not just wrong, it's a deliberate operation. He's not addressing random critics. He's calling out organized efforts to discredit Russia's credibility in the eyes of its partners. And by using the word provocateurs, he signals that Russia sees this as part of a broader hybrid campaign, likely Western-backed.
Теперь, что касается надежды,
Now, regarding Russia's reliability or unreliability as an ally, it has already been said that we should demonstrate a certain degree of solidarity, and that's true. But in each case, conflicts are quite unique and should be approached individually.
достаточно уникальные.
Here, Putin draws a red line. Russia won't apply a one-size-fits-all doctrine. Unlike NATO, which insists on bloc discipline, Russia reserves the right to react differently in each case. That's not inconsistency, it's strategic flexibility.
Хочу обратить ваше внимание, что
I would like to draw your attention to the fact that nearly 2 million people in Israel are immigrants from the former Soviet Union and the Russian Federation. Today, Israel is almost a Russian-speaking country. We have always taken this factor into account in modern Russian history, and we certainly continue to do so.
This is a subtle but powerful reminder. Russia sees Israel not just as a foreign state, but as a partially Russian diaspora. This means that any action in the Middle East must take into account both military strategy and cultural ties. It's a card few nations can play, and Moscow plays it carefully.
у нас
We have traditionally maintained very warm, trusting, friendly, and allied relations with the Arab and Islamic world.
с арабским и исламским миром.
Given that around 15% of our population is Muslim, Russia holds observer status in the Organization of Islamic Cooperation.
Поэтому мы наблюдатели организации.
You see, that too is an important factor. We must take both this and other circumstances into account.
И это, и другое обстоятельство.
Russia positions itself as a bridge between civilizations, and here Putin reminds us of that. It's not just about foreign diplomacy. Russia's domestic structure, with millions of Muslim citizens, means it must speak both languages, geopolitical and religious cultural.
У нас сложились
We have established certain friendly relations with Iran. First and foremost, in this regard, we have always honored all of our commitments.
всегда выполняем все наши обязательства.
And the same applies to the Russia-Iran track.
Российско-иранском.
We support Iran in its struggle to defend its legitimate interests,
Иран
including its right to develop peaceful nuclear energy. This has always been our principled stance,
и мы всегда
and it remains unchanged in the context of the current conflict.
в данном случае и в этом конфликте не поменялось.
In contrast to accusations of betrayal, Putin underscores long-term reliability. Russia didn't start helping Iran yesterday and isn't about to stop. Support is defined not by statements at press briefings, but by consistent, on-the-ground delivery over time.
So again, some say we should have done more. But what exactly does more mean? Launching new military operations? Is that what they mean? We're already conducting military operations against those we consider opponents of the values we stand for, and against those who pose a threat to the Russian Federation. At their core, these are essentially the same forces, whether in Iran or in Russia's case, operating somewhere deeper in the rear, behind the front lines. They're not even the ones directly engaged on the battlefield.
Putin loops back to the core point. The battlefield may be different, but the adversary is the same. Whether it's sabotage in Iran or political subversion in Russia, Moscow sees it as one continuous confrontation, a war without front lines.
We have certain obligations, and we defend Iran's right to peaceful nuclear energy, not just in words, but in practice. What does that mean? Despite the complex situation surrounding Iran, we built a nuclear reactor in Bushehr. We've signed a contract to construct 2 more reactors. And despite all the difficulties and certain risks involved, we are continuing this work. We are not evacuating our personnel.
Here's the proof that Russia's commitment is not rhetorical. It's structural. While others flee instability, Russia builds into it. This is Moscow's style. Quiet, risky, and deliberate.
Moreover, relying in this case on the well-known level of our relations with Israel and our gradually improving ties with the United States, we raised this issue both with Israel and with President Trump. We made it clear that our activities in Iran are based on our principled view of Iran's right to peaceful nuclear energy, and that everything we do is strictly within the framework of international law. Accordingly, we requested assurances for the safety of our personnel. I would like to note that Prime Minister Netanyahu agreed with this position, and President Trump promised to support our legitimate demand.
These weren't friendly gestures. They were geopolitical acknowledgments. Russia's presence in Iran wasn't contested. It was coordinated. Moscow doesn't ask for permission. It tells other powers what it's doing and expects respect.
Isn't this support for Iran? I believe it is direct support, and we've also taken a firm position at the United Nations.
Russia's message is clear. Support isn't always loud. Sometimes it's logistical, sometimes it's nuclear, and sometimes it happens in a way the West can't detect, but Iran can always count on.